Welcome back everyone, Flashy D here back with another video. Today we'll be showcasing the Yordle comp, but also how you can absolutely smash someone who's also going for Yordles and forcing it harder than you. In this video we'll be showcasing how you can out macro the high roller, so that way you end up winning in tempo even if you fall behind slightly. So in this specific game there is one other person who's forcing Yordle very hard, and that person is, you guessed it, first place. This person is forcing Yordle as hard as I am, but as you can see on their board, they actually have no gold. They've actually already rolled down most of their gold to get the Yordles they need. That's gonna end up biting in the butt, because at this point I see that that person has rolled down all of their gold to force the Yordles. So how you counteract that is you just eco up to like 9 as fast as possible. At this point, the biggest issue that you will run into running the Yordle comp is that you're actually going to run out of board space to be able to get that extra 1 Yordle per turn, because at this stage at the game, most of your Yordles aren't going to be able to get 2-star or 3-star right away. So you're going to end up having a board full of Yordles, but nothing really that's lining up. In this carousel round, I am looking for either the needlessly large rod or the sparring glove for the crit glove, because that way I can make a jeweled gauntlet for my Heimerdinger. At this point on my bench I don't have either, so I'm decided to go for the needlessly large rod. The needlessly large rod can build into many other useful items, so even if I don't hit the crit glove, I will be able to build into other more useful items. If I were to just grab the crit glove, it builds into items that aren't the best. And as you can see here, I run into the first problem, which is right now my bench is filled. And if you look at the state of my board, I have a 1-star Lulu, 1-star Taric, 1-star Heimerdinger, 2-star Alawi, and a 2-star Ziggs. At this point, my team is not that strong. It's not. I have the Socialite tag with the Taric that places him up, or places the Hex up front, which is a little bit unfortunate. That Hex will be eventually used for Vex, because that will be our main tank and are also most likely our main damage dealer. At the moment, Heimerdinger does have blue buff and the Gunblade. I did opt out to use the items to make a Gunblade instead of a Jeweled Gauntlet, because in this game I decided that it's better to have the healing versus the extra damage that Heimerdinger would get out of the crit Jeweled Gauntlet. At this point, I've stabilized decently, but I am still a little bit worried about the person who is contesting me for Yordle Lords, because as you can see, that person has a lot of Yordles on his bench. But the one thing that you do run into is that your bench becomes filled with units that you can't convert into 2-star, 3-star. I keep an eye on his board, and he's running Weak Spot and Knife's Edge, which basically forces him to place most of his unit up to the front to get the maximum value. I don't like the augment Knife's Edge, but it's really good for damage. But because of how it forces you to position your units up in the first 2 row, I personally don't like it. Currently I'm sitting at 49 gold. If I win this, I will get the 50. If I don't, then unfortunately I might need to sell a Taric just to get the extra gold for the 50 for the interest. I'm fighting against this person, SKT Nobody. From the looks of it, it looks like my team isn't doing so well, but from the offset, it looks like eventually I do end up tanking out well enough that my Heimerdinger is literally clutching out the heal with the Hextech Gunblade, and also Taric is keeping my team topped up, which basically allows me to get the dub, which gives me that extra gold, which puts me at 50 gold, which is very nice. Lovely. So at this state of the game, I'm looking at how it's kind of devolved into. This game is already looking like it's going to be a game where I won't be able to get Yordle Lord, because the Spooker person is contesting me heavily for it. Because of that, I won't be able to get Yordle Lord this game, because I've already made the concession that it's not going to happen. The best way to be able to still use the Yordles to overcome to be first place is just leveraging how strong their carriers are. Like Heimerdinger and Vex are very strong characters on their own if they have the right items. Since I don't have the Jeweled Gauntlet, I'm unable to make my Heimerdinger do a lot of extra damage for his spells to crit, so in this case all I do is I opt out to leveling. The end game of this is to be able to get the fourth enchanter, ideally with either Yumi or Janna. If I am so lucky with the augment, I am technically able to get myself 4 Arcanist, ideally, because Janna is an Arcanist, and if I get a tome that gives me an Arcanist, that will basically make it so I can get 4. So I am looking out for Janna, but I do run into the problem of how my board is going to run out of space for me to be able to hold all the units, and you will see that very shortly. Against this person, who's the person who's contesting me for Yordles, I get pretty close to dying, but Vex is able to hold out for a little bit longer, just so that my Heimerdinger is able to clean up the backline, which is very, very nice. As you can see, I'm barely squeaking in against the person who's contesting me for Yordles, but you can see the person who's going for Yordles is no longer first. At this point, I am just hard ecoing, getting myself the extra hero slot, because I know that eventually, if people is contesting me for Yordle Lord, I'm not going to have the board space to be able to have all the room to be able to put my units down. At this point, all I'm looking for is I'm looking to put Vex on, try to get myself a 6 Yordle, so that way Heimerdinger only requires 2 auto attacks to be able to cast the spell. I put the Scholar on the Lulu, so that way I have the Scholar bonus. And I grab the Seraphine for potentially the second Social Light bonus. At this point on, I'm fighting this person who's basically sort of in second last place, which is fine. I do see that Warwick though with double Titans resolve, which is kind of scary, but I am able to mop up this team, get the dub here. This was relatively easy, but the person did not go great augments, so I'm able to come out with an easy dub. At this point, I get the 2-star Vex, which is pretty huge for this comp, because this basically makes it so my Vex is very strong. I do the usual positioning where I put basically the unit that I don't need in the back. Basically, I have it so that I have it where a unit that I don't really care about getting hooked is in the corner. At this point, it is Lulu, because Ziggs can do quite a bit of damage, and Lulu, if she does get hooked, she will be able to usually get her ult off, so she'll be able to CC the surrounding units at blitz hooks. Yes, this is where I get a little bit worried. I see the double Titans resolve Warwick 2-star, and the reason why that's kind of scary is because it's actually very, very, very tanky. As you can see in this fight here, it gets bigger with the Titans resolved, and it's just life stealing like crazy. I'm actually only able to kill it eventually, but I can see how that can be a problem. And on the person's bench, he's also building for Warwick, so tier 3 Warwick is potentially an issue. But the guy's position his dummies in the very back, which is a little bit weird, but it makes sense if you're trying to deal with assassins. But if he put his dummies in the forefront, maybe he might have eked out the win there. In this carousel round, I am looking for a crit glove, and I see the crit glove on the Fiora because that will give me the jewel gauntlet from a Heimerdinger, but someone takes it, so unfortunately I don't get it. So the next best thing I'm looking at is with the needlessly large red, what can I do? I end up deciding that probably the Ionic Spark is probably the next best thing, because I can throw that onto Vex. So I go for the Negatron Cloak, but I don't put the Negatron Cloak and the needlessly large rod on Vex right away, because I see in the next couple rounds there's going to be a PvE round. If the PvE round, it might potentially give me a crit glove, which then I can make into Jewel Gauntlet, but for now I'm just going to hold off and wait. I have a Reforger, but that Reforger is pretty much useless because all the items I have on my units are quite useful. I could try to RNG the items and try to get something better, but I feel like RNGing is just not great, so unless I really have really bad items, it's just better not to use the Reforger. At this point, I'm thinking about trying to get the Janna for the 4 Enchanter for the last unit slot on my team. It is debatable what I decide to use. I know I'm probably going to put Seraphine on to get the second Socialite, so that way my Vex gets the mana regen. Ideally, I get 3 Socialite, but 3 Socialite's a little bit too overcommittal, only because I would have to put in Galio, and Galio takes up 2 slots, which is a little bit too much slots that I could afford to give up at the moment. This person has a really weird build, and I sweep the person immediately. I don't know what this person was building, but from the looks of it, they were trying to build Bruiser, and it didn't really work out for them. Moving on, we go into the augment round. This one's tough only because there's two I could pick: Celestial Blessing or Thrill of the Hunt. Thrill of the Hunt will give me more healing if I can kill someone, but Celestial Blessing basically allows me to heal for some damage, but also provide a shield for excess damage. I opt out to go for Celestial Blessing 2 because with Celestial Blessing 2, it basically allows my backline dealer like the Tristana, the Heimerdinger, and the Ziggs to be able to build up a shield, so that way they can survive any burst of damage that comes in later in the fight. I take a look at the other person's board, and the person is still forcing Yordles, but the person is broke as heck. The person has like no money. A lot of people have kind of rolled down, and I'm just holding my gold and just keeping my money as high as possible. Like in this game, I'm pretty healthy. I'm looking to just get to 9 for the extra unit slot, because at this point my board is starting to fill up and I'm starting to run out of support space to be able to, number 1, take advantage of the Yordle passive, and number 2, buy other units as they come into the shop. This person's running a very scary comp. This person's running straight assassins, and that's a 3-star Katarina with IE and I forgot what that fist is, but it's the glove, the fist, the scary fist that heals and gives damage. But luckily I'm able to burst out the Katarina and I'm able to get in them. This person is running a slightly scary team because he's got the Katarina battery and also the academy, but basically every time Katarina uses a skill, she basically ramps up in damage. I get the 3-star Ziggs, which is really nice, very nice. I'm able to put out Seraphine because I'm at level 8 for the extra socialite. Now my Vex is able to heal for, or not heal, but is able to get 5 mana per second, which is very nice. Basically allows Vex to be able to pump out shields like a madman, and Vex's shield does infinitely stack, so the more time she gets to ult, the stronger her shield gets and the more damage it does. In this creep round, I grab everything, and unfortunately I don't get a crit glove. Because I don't get a crit glove, I decide that I opt out. Alright, I need to start slamming my items in because I'm not probably going to be any other single opponent, so I make the concession that I'm just going to give the Ionic Spark to Vex, and then there's a Titan's Resolve, and I decide that Titan's Resolve is probably better off putting it on Taric because Taric is my healer and he's also my frontline, so being able to make him tankier and also keeping him longer alive in the fight is probably the most ideal, because at this point it's just going to be Heimerdinger, Ziggs, and Tristan that will be doing the majority of damage, and potentially Vex with the shield that she provides. I am against a mercenaries team here. Unfortunately with their team, they aren't strong enough. The mercenary comp is quite weak with its unit it provides, and unfortunately this person gets pretty much whittled down to like 1 HP. If they take a death, they will die. I go look at the other people's board and I see the Warwick 3-star triple Titans Resolve. That is very scary. Luckily though, I am able to get the 2-star Tristana and 2-star Lulu, which frees up some board space for me. I see that random Poppy in there, so I'm like, I'm just gonna pull or try to put the Janna in, but then I realize, oh, my board is just actually filled. The Poppy was just the extra unit that I got from the Yordle passive. At this point on, I am trying to like still get to level 9 because I just know for myself personally I'm running out of board space, and the person who was first is now like 4th place. Since they're still holding on to Yordles, I can't actually go for the Yordles, so it's just better just to go for 9. This person is using Enforcers, which locks up my Ziggs, but that's not too big of a deal because Heimerdinger is still technically the main damage dealer. Also with Vex, as you can see here, we're doing tons of work here. Enforcer is unfortunately not a good trade. Like, it's okay for locking down people, but unless you're going hard with like sisters, it's a really slow comp. Over here, I do see the Janna, and I was contemplating on buying it, but I was also contemplating on selling the Taric, so there's a lot of decisions here. I decided to get the Janna, but now my board space is filled up, and if I do get anything else, I am stuck. As you can see, this person is heavily contesting me for Yordles. This person has 3-star Poppy, 3-star Ziggs, and then 2-star everything else. So they're not close to Yordle Lord. I'm not close to the Yordle Lord. It kind of makes sense. This is where it gets scary. I'm fighting the chem tank Warwick triple Titans Resolve. As you can see, it mauls my Poppy, goes into my backline, starts mauling my Vex. Luckily, my Janna pushes them away with her ultimate, but the Warwick just gets really big. As you can see, the health of my Vex is just getting constantly topped up. Her shield is topped up, Heimerdinger heals with the Hextech Gunblade, and then we rinse and repeat. If you keep looking at this, we see Heimerdinger doing her thing. Tarvik, unfortunately, will get popped, even though he's holding up as much as he can. I believe he gets popped. Actually, no. Tarvik is a man. Oh, nope, he does get popped. Yeah, so Tarvik does end up falling, but Tarvik's healing provides so much sustain. With 3 enchanters, that is insane. I take a look at this board and I'm going like, there are 2 items I want. I want either the Dragon's Claw or Redemption. The reason being is those 2 will provide a much more beefier frontline for me, because Tarvik would be able to use the Dragon's Claw to be able to sustain more punishment from spells. Unfortunately, it gets taken, so I go off for the next best thing, which is the Redemption. So now I have double Redemption on my team, which is a little bit OP. So basically, Vex and Tarvik are going to be healing each other. So I sell the Galio, and I run into the issue where now my bench is completely full. I make the concession that I'm probably just gonna straight level to 9, I think. Yeah, I sell the Tarek. I straight level. Do I straight level to 9? No, I don't think so. Yeah, I put the Redemption on Tarek. So now, with double Redemption, it basically makes it so that now I have the slots for this. I put in the Janna because I'm at level 9. I get 4 enchanters now, which is very nice, but now I run into this weird issue of that I basically come into the issue of where I just don't have enough board space to get the units I need. This person's running Chem Tank with a Mercenaries build. The Mundo is really big, kind of scary, and I am trying to put in as much work as I can. I'm not too sure if I was winning this, but eventually I see like, oh shoot, my Vex is dying, but oh, she's getting topped up by the Heimerdinger. It's a pretty wicked combo with the double Redemption. It basically makes it so it heals with percentage enriching HP, makes it so that my team takes less damage, and as you can see here, I get the Heimerdinger. I'm able to like level it up luckily, but I can't really do much. Like because I believe I start rolling down, I see the units and I'm just like, shoot, my board is filled. I was like, I either need to sell something or wait. I decided that it's probably better to sell the Janna to just get the 3-star Heimerdinger, because the 3-star Heimerdinger is a very strong unit. And then a Janna shows up and a Tarek shows up and I'm like, shoot, alright, I should just probably wait. Rolling down would probably be good here, but I was hoping that I'd be able to kill the person who's also contesting me for Yordles, so that way the Yordles get thrown back into the champ pool, so that way I can take advantage and buy it up. Unfortunately, because of just how like my percentages are at level 9, I'm getting a much higher chance of getting like 30 purples and orange heroes. This battle is a little bit strange because I know the person's like dogpiling me with the Jinx, but luckily Heimerdinger stays alive. Vex is still alive, and Vex is putting in a ton of work at this point. Her shield is popping for tons of damage, and she's also super tanky. Janna's able to keep everyone up with her ult, and Bob's your uncle, we take down this person. Once again, I get a full board. I'm looking at my board and now I realize, shoot, I have to start making a decision of which unit am I just forgoing of trying to level. I make the concession that Poppy is very far from 3-star, so it's just better off to sell the Poppy and just get the Heimerdinger. Because Heimerdinger 3-star, like I said, is a very strong carry unit. Over there we have the Banshee's Claw, or Banshee's Claw, Banshee's Veil, whatever. Basically, Banshees, where it basically allows me to protect my Banshee's Claw. Yeah, Banshee's Claw allows me to protect the unit that is holding the Banshee's Claw. It protects it from one spell, but also the hexes to the left and right of it also gets the protection of one spell. That ends up being very useful because eventually there's going to be a gigantic Blitzcrank that will one-shot anybody. I start rolling. I see that there's a Lulu in the shop. Do I want the Lulu? I'm looking at it, and at this point I decide no, because I'm not going to get the Lulu to where I need it. Then I get the Tristana to 3-star, which is very nice. Unfortunately, I run out of time. It doesn't pop into the 3-star, and as you see here, boom, there's a 3-star Blitzcrank. This person is very scary because they have this 3-star Katarina, and they're doing tons of damage to my backline. The biggest thing is, as long as my Heimerdinger survives, I win. The problem is my Heimerdinger doesn't survive, so I don't win. Or actually, let me roll it back. My Heimerdinger dies, so unfortunately my heal bots are down, but I still have Tarek with Redemption and Vex with Redemption, and those two are just meeting it up. As you can see, my Vex is doing the most damage. She is basically carrying this fight with Tarek. The double heal is just too much, and the assassins go down. Whew. Saved by the skin of my teeth. So at this point, I have a lot of board space. I'm able to look for units. I find the Seraphine, I find the Vex, I go and I find the Seraphine, and I find the 3-star Heimerdinger, which is phenomenal. At this point, I move Heimerdinger into the corner, which is going to bite me in the butt a little bit, because you'll see a little bit in the future that was not good positioning, and you'll see why. I'm starting to look for Jannas. I'm trying to get myself the Janna. I find the Vex. I'm still looking for Janna. And I do believe I skip over a Janna, which is really unfortunate. Yes, so this is where I get a little bit scared, because I'm looking at this and I'm like, wait a second, Heimerdinger is too far. He's not actually hitting anything. And I'm like, the moment Warwick jumps in, Heimerdinger starts throwing spells. So I was like, shoot, if the enemy didn't come any closer, my Heimerdinger would have been pretty useless, and he's basically my heal bot and sort of my pseudo damage carry. Having him in the back like that, not a great idea, so I have to reposition. Against the triple Chem Tank Warwick, I am able to burst it down before it has time to sustain itself back up, and I take out the Quinn, and boom, we get the dub here. I get the Tarek here because I'm contemplating whether or not I'm going to do the 3-star Tarek. I roll, I see the Vex, which is lovely. I roll again, trying to look for the Janna. As weird as that sounds, I'm trying to look for Janna, reposition, so that way my Heimerdinger has room to go up. I roll, I see the Lulu, roll again, don't have anything, roll again, nothing. Lulu, roll again, there's nothing, and I'm like, shoot, okay. Essentially, right now, I rolled down all my gold, and I'm essentially looking for Jannas. I leave a little pocket in the middle, don't know if it's a good idea, but it could work. I am fighting the Chem Tank Warwick again, but this time my Heimerdinger is able to put in damage right away. Warwick jumps my backline, starts mauling my Ziggs. Ziggs is basically hailed back up to full, is able to get an ultimate, and that's it. Janna is able to knock the enemy down. As you can see, the Warwick is healing for so much. But once again, my team is able to pull ahead and eke out the win, because the Warwick, even though he's scary and tanky, he does not have enough damage to shred through my front and back line. And with that, we knock out another person, and now it's up to top 2. Right now, it's just me and him in the carousel. I look at this board and I'm going like, all these items suck. I could put some units on to my Tristan to make it stronger, because there are some good items, but I decided I'm going to go for the Shroud because this is against the assassin person. I decide that it's probably best for me to put the Shroud on the Poppy and make it so that the Poppy, also, side note, missed the Janna, there, so I'm like, shoot. But like I said, put the Shroud on the Poppy, make it so that the Poppy stands in front of the Katarina, because Katarina is the one who's going to be doing the most damage, and is also the biggest threat. Ideally, I hit some other unit, but mainly it's just hitting the Katarina, so that way she can't get her spell. I hit the Katarina and also the Echo, who's got the morale, which is pretty big. As you can see, the Katarina, though, is able to kill my Poppy, walks straight to my Heimerdinger, does her spinny, but my Seraphine lands a gigantic ult, stuns the enemy, and unfortunately, my team gets a little bit demolished, but Heimerdinger is still alive with my Tarek and my Vex, and with that, we secure the easy dub. So if you guys are wondering how to deal with people who are contesting you for Yordles, just ignore it, eco up, get to level 9, and yeah, destroy them that way. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will see you guys next time. Bye for now.